I'm Ken Rosenthal, Park Naturalist at Gulf Branch Nature Center, and I'm here with another 5-minute find. I'm back in the pond again today, and we've got a new plant that we haven't seen in the pond in a while, certainly not since I've been working here, and we're going to take a look at that right now. This is the Gulf Branch Pond at the end of the summer. As you can see, it's a riot of plants and growth. A lot going on here. I think the thing that we're most surprised to see in the pond is water. And you might be saying to yourself, Ken, why are you surprised to see water? Well, the Gulf Branch Pond usually dries out by the end of summer. This makes it an especially good pond for critters like frogs and salamanders to lay their eggs in, because fish can't live here because the water's not here year round, and that removes one of their predators. This is a young green frog, and this is not a frog we typically see in this pond. When the pond dries out every year, it means that frogs like green frogs and bullfrogs, whose eggs and tadpoles take a lot longer to develop, typically don't reproduce here in this pond. We're now in our third year that the pond hasn't dried out by mid to late summer, and we're starting to see a lot of changes. I mentioned the green frogs earlier, but you can also see that we have duckweed growing on the surface of the pond, and beneath that, if you look in there closer, you'll see Coontail. Coontail is the common name. The proper scientific name is Ceratophyllum demersum. It's also called hornwort. Let's take a closer look at Coontail. See, it's very leafy, and it can also grow 3 to 10 feet in length. So here's a close-up of Coontail. You can see that the small leaves are in whorls, spaced out along the stem of the plant. And as you get closer to the end of it, it gets much bushier. And these bushier pieces, I think, look much more like its namesake, the raccoon's tail, or have a much stronger resemblance than the plant lower down. The other thing that you'll see about this, these little leaves can be 8 to 40 millimeters in length, whereas the whole plant itself can be 1 to 3 meters, or roughly 3 to 10 feet. So it can be pretty long. It is also rootless, so it's easy to it's easy for this plant to colonize a slow-moving body of water. So lakes, ponds, slow spots on rivers or streams can be an area where you'll find Coontail. The denseness of it, look at how thick this can be, and the growth can be very thick on bodies of water where it's colonized, especially where it's not being eaten by anything. It can provide really good cover for young fish. It can also provide places for aquatic insects to attach onto and to lay their eggs as well. So it can be a breeding ground for lots of young organisms, which is a really good place for other organisms to feed. It is also a food source for waterfowl, ducks that like to eat plants. Now you might be asking yourself, how do we get Coontail into this pond? Coontail can grow from small fragments. It's very easy to grow. You can take a little clipping and start it in your aquarium. It's a very popular aquarium plant. But in nature, where it spreads, it usually spreads by fragments being attached to livestock, boats, or waterfowl. As you can see, we are not a boating destination here, very small area. We also don't have any livestock traipsing through, and we have this fence that keeps most things out. So that leaves number 3, waterfowl. We do occasionally have mallard ducks that pop in. I don't know if it's always the same pair. My guess is that it is probably the same pair that often come here and feed, and they'll feed in the stream as well. And it would have been simple for those ducks to get a couple fragments of Coontail stuck in their feathers, and they would then drop off in the pond while they were feeding. Thank you for joining me today as we looked at one of the plants growing in our pond. I hope you enjoyed this 5-minute find, and you'll join us for more in the future. Also, check out the Arlington County Nature Center's YouTube page for past 5-minute finds that you can also discover on our Facebook page as well. Thanks, and have a great day.